Although the term fake news has only become mainstream in the past couple of years, the practice of news organisations putting their own slant on the way news is covered and presenting information in a way which promotes one position by undermining another is not new. Sadly, it's been happening to Israelis for decades. In a 2015 speech, former Associated Press reporter Matty Friedman said that during the years he spent as part of the International Press Corps, he became aware of certain malfunctions in the coverage of the Israel story, and he noted that decisions were being made according to considerations that were not journalistic, but political. He was right. The media narrative around Israel presents the story as a David and Goliath battle in which the Palestinians are the underdogs and the Israelis are the aggressors, ignoring or sometimes justifying the violence and the hatred of the terror groups Hamas and Hezbollah and of the Palestinian Authority, which continues to glorify terrorism, pays cash to imprison terrorists and to the families of martyrs, and incites the population to hate and murder Israelis. Let's look at a couple of examples. In June 2018, Hamas staged a series of violent riots which they called the Great March of Return, in which tens of thousands of people attempted to storm the border fence between Israel and Gaza. Viral clips showed armed Gazans at the fence shouting "Kill the Jews," while others showed Gazans cutting through the fence, throwing Molotov cocktails and launching explosives attached to balloons. There were also worrying images of child soldiers. Hamas leadership even admitted that a significant number of armed Hamas combatants were in the crowds, with the goal of crossing into Israel and capturing or killing Israeli civilians. Yet contrast this reality to the way that the march was described in media reports, as a peaceful protest with a carnival-like atmosphere, picnicking families and ice cream vendors, imagery which was clearly designed to portray the Gazans as peaceful. The 130 Palestinians who were killed in the Hamas-sanctioned violence as innocent victims, and Israel as a bloodthirsty aggressor. Here's another example. During those same riots, the Los Angeles Times ran a story with the headline "Baby Girl Dies in the Haze of Gaza." It told the emotive story of an 8-month-old baby girl who was allegedly killed by inhaling tear gas fired by Israeli Defence Forces. The New York Times and other major outlets published their own version of the story, which framed Israeli soldiers as child murderers, and the story was both tragic and upsetting. It was also untrue. Following the extensive coverage, baby Layla's cousin admitted that she'd actually died from a pre-existing blood condition, and that Hamas had paid relatives to lie to the media. But that story, the truth, wasn't nearly as well reported, and the lie had already travelled around the world. Of course, not all media bias is so obvious. Sometimes it's achieved in the way pictures or headlines are used to influence public opinion. Take the example of a terrorist attack on a civilian Israeli bus in April of 2016, in which the headline became 21 injured in Jerusalem bus fire, with no reference to the cause of the injuries or the terrorist nature of the attack. Or a June 2016 terrorist attack on a Tel Aviv mall, which killed 4 and seriously wounded 3 others, but which was reported as 4 people killed in shooting, again with no reference to the cause or the perpetrators. Another media tactic is only to begin covering a conflict once Israel responds to being attacked, ignoring or minimising terrorist acts such as the firing of rockets from Gaza, so as to give the impression that Israel's actions are unprovoked. There are many other such examples, but where does this bias come from? Some of it comes from a lack of knowledge and ignorance of the facts, and no doubt in some cases the result of journalists simply wanting to fall into line with their peers by uncritically accepting the long-established anti-Israel narrative. But whatever their reasons, those who peddle in this propaganda betray the standards we should expect of their profession. So when you're confronted with an inflammatory headline about Israel, dig deeper. And when you find out what really happened, be sure to share what you've learned with others. In the words of an old TV show, the truth is out there. I'm Ashley Church for the Israel Institute of New Zealand.